Chapter 8. Now, this chapter is quite a extraordinary one of the bunch. Could it be the black sheep of all the 9 chapters? Probably, given how it has that certain midpoint in the entire chapter. We start off with, or we have the beginning of BWF seeing all these weird images of him being defiant on Zephyr Lincent and all, having these types of impulses of let me heal ya, you dumb smucks, and he was turning like red and all, and he keeps saying that y'all are not my parents. He's in like this weird mind manipulation zone. And as he's being like pushed to the edge in this own mind manipulation by Capron, nearly going into like the dark end, he sees all these weird symbologies of arms of furry gray, black torn pants, incentation logo with an X on it. The flashes in the non-real world showed a red bird in a female wedding dress being crushed by a giant statue of a male with a black suit whose face was covered by darkness, and all this other stuff and about him in this weird mind manipulation zone. But ultimately he does get out of it by the help of the supposed real, or the supposed Zephyr Lincent, who he thought he was seeing in the beginning. And it is revealed as he gets out of this from Capron's mind manipulation that this person is David. The one who was fighting against Capron is David, of all people. And that's the big reveal of chapter 8. Then we get to the big one here. The biggest ramble, one of the biggest rambles you will ever see, period. Ever. Okay? This is legit a huge ramble of what this guy does. Even my grammar editor admitted that this guy was doing non-stop rambling, just non-stop. It was going on for like, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pages. This is not a joke. Like, this is going on non-stop for 9 pages. In order to give you an example as to what I'm talking about here, let me read one print page to you, or at least half of it. Such pathetic behavior of a man who was admired by a yoga who seeks to betray me. I remember when I fought both Zeph and Lincent, and how they tried to falsely inform and accuse me that I'm creating an illusion to the establishment of my character. Elargarius was not finished. How rude of them, a claim that became a slander of the ocean being polluted, their food and drinks that are not fruits of clear water, but drugs and wine. They hurt me with tremendous tearing of the spirit of Elargarius. Zeph thinks he can defeat me in the dark. Of that type of solipsism, it's always made me feel like as if I'm the nightmare of my revelation. The always have been God inheritance. It was a feeling that wasn't good. It felt so uncomfortable. The madness of my mind racing was a vortex of screaming high-pitched, yelling out, God, God, help me, God, God, where are you? God, help me, God. Oh, what a hell-driven moment of my release of berserk and shivering behavior. I don't want to ever go back to it again, for this ideology is not such self-destructive to humanity. If only me who carries this ideology, to only me alone. That is only around half of what I just read, of page 137 of Insinmind, Afternoon Solipsism. And this goes on for just about 9 pages non-stop of Elargarius doing this. So I'm not gonna. I don't know how I'm gonna feel over how you're going to read that whole thing. It's truly something to behold, honestly, of how a villain could just go on and on about that. I can totally see why people would be annoyed by this subject. The ending part of this chapter is Zeph getting his clothes back on and getting ready. He brings Lincent back to where she should be, being taken care of by people like Pac-Pal. And he goes off to deal with the matter, or settle the matter of Elargarius and Baxter. And he gets ready, and he wonders to himself, how is he going to put up with all these situations that just seem like the odds are just against him and all. Let me try to find it, because it's something different. Hold on. Yeah, he tries to get all these powerful gadgets. Well, not powerful enough to take down Capron, of course, but enough to have him stand somewhat of a chance against guys like Elargarius and maybe Baxter. Maybe. Though only to some extent. And, like, he thinks about all these things about how he's going to do this. How is he going to stand a chance to people like Capron and Iogo? They're just so much stronger than him in so many ways. How is he going to do it? And all he can think of is that he's got to keep persevering, even if the odds are so against him, of moral decisions and physically. Also mentally, which involves his moral decisions. And Linton is in a bad position in the hospital, in the house. And Cressida Drastic, who is Pac-Pal, is also there, and she doesn't look good either. Like, this is like blatant statements of saying this person is very much going to die. And I'm not actually referring to Linton, I'm referring to Cressida, the one who's actually watching out for her and is really trying to make sure she's all right, and is really in a grieving position and in deep worry for her. And Cressida can't even speak well. Like, she's just in a very, very bad position now. So, like, she's reaching her mortality limit point. But Lincent says that Lincent informs Cressida that she's got to help Zeph, no matter what. And Cressida understands. Like, Lincent gets back on her feet, despite the fact of how beaten up and how much she almost died in the fight against Baxter, or just one of his bots. And so she gets back on her feet, getting ready to do what she wants to do. And Zeph goes off to do some hits on Elargarius, and ask for Elargarius to reveal his true form, being Jefferson Drastic, which is his Drastic form. And the chapter ends off with Elargarius turning back into Jefferson Drastic, being ready to fight against him. So that's the ending to the second to last chapter of this novel. Looking back at this, despite the fact of how long the ramble up is, I did want this Solipus to stand out in his own way, but I couldn't really think of much of any other way for him to stand out with all the other villains, because he's really kind of a pitiful individual. I have been thinking of creating a novel that is like around 5 chapters that takes place before the 1980 events of Afternoon Solecism, but I still am a bit it's just in conceptual mind development. It hasn't even been written out yet in any way of how it will lead up to some of the events here. Which brings to other things of how the novel continuity will set things in motion for like a comic following it in more organized order of that certain novel that would take place during like right before that time period. So we're only 1 chapter left to finish for this commentary, and it's going to be also something to talk about.